We're now on Daf Samach Tes Amud Beis. My Marzecha. And the Gemara explains, Avel, a person who's sitting Shiva on one of his relatives, he's an Avelus, the Ksiv. In Nevuas Yirmiyah it says, Koamar Hashem al Tovo Beis Marzeach, the Altelech Lispod, the Altonim Lahem. So the Kosh Baruch Hu says to Yirmiyah that he shouldn't be Menachem Avel Yisrael. So we see that the Lashon of Marzeach is Avel. Omer Aviyav Minayin LaAvel Shem Beisiv Barosh. That was the meaning that the Gadol would sit on the Rosh, which is the Mita Smucha Rosh HaShulchan. Shenemar, it says by Eov, when he said words about the greatness of Godlo V'Kvodo, meaning at one point in his life he was so great and he was a man of such esteem. Evchar Darkom, I would choose which derech we should go in, the Eshev Rosh. And when we're sitting around, I would sit at the head of the table. Va'eshkon Kimelech Bagdud, I would sit in a place that was mechubad like a king. Asher Avelim Yenachem, and in a place where the Avelim sat when they came to console the Avelim, and that's the Eshe Barosh, that's the Ovel sitting in the front. The Gemara says, Yenachem Acherim Mashma. The pasuk seems to indicate that Eov was sitting at the Rosh like the Menachemim es Avelim were sitting in the Rosh. And that's what it means, Kasher Avelim Yenachem. In the place where the Menachemim who came to console the Avelim sit, but not that the Avelim sat up front. Where it says, he was sitting in the place where there the Avel was Menucham. People came to console him behind the Rosh. Marzuch, another source for the word Marzecha, indicating Avelus, is the Nevuah of Amos Vesar Merzach Sruchim. Mar V'zoch Nase Sar L'Sruchim. A person who has a das that's Mar V'zocha Olav, in other words, he's not able to concentrate, and that's referring to an Ovel, became the Sar L'Sruchim, which means L'Gdolim Aboim L'Nachem. Omar Rabbi Hilchasa in the Karkoi V'Lom Mitaltale, the collection of Mizonis and Parnosas only from Karka and Mitaltalin, Bain, Mizoni, Bain, Ksuba, Bain, Liparnos. So we start now the Mishnah here on the top of Samach Tes on the base. Amashlish Mos Libito, he hands over money into escrow, into the hands of someone who's trustworthy for the purpose of his boss to buy on her behalf. Liknos lo b'hem sadeh, when she's ready to get married. The Hiomeris, after the father died, she claims that they should give her one shlish of the mos. They should give one shlish of the mos to her husband. Why? Because Neman Bali Olai. I trust my husband. He will not withhold these mos for himself, but rather he'll purchase me a sada when I commission him to do so. And if I need the mos, he will hand over the mos, or he will invest the most in a way that until he gives me the most, there'll be profits. Is yasa shlish masha hushlash biyodo. Whatever the father had commanded him, either to buy soda on behalf or for the boss, he should do that because mitzvah l'kayim divrei ames. And that's the opinion divrei Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Yossi Omer, the shlish should give the most. The most should be given into the hands of the shlish. And then the shlish should give over the most to the Baal based on the will of the wife. And the reasoning here of Rabbi Yossi is because what do we gain? What toelis do we have if they'll buy soda with these modes? V'chi eina ela soda. Even if there's no modes, and the shlish had already purchased the soda, the Rotzel Mokra, and she wants to sell the field and give the most of the purchase to her husband, the soda is sold from now, immediately. And there's no toelis now in buying a field in order to become divrei ames. When do we say that we listen to her to give the Baal the most? That's dafka b'gedolah. But b'ktana, we don't listen to her. Ein ma'aseh ktana klum. We learned in the Brisa, mashlish mos b'yad nemon litnom l'chasono likavem soda lebito and mesa'av. He omeres yinosnu amos yinosnu lebaili, so that he can make a profit until I commission him to buy a field on my behalf. If she says that, then mina nesuin, after she's already nesua harashus b'yada, and they give the most over to the Baal, because even the father himself gave the most into the yad of this escrow of the shlish only up until the suit. But if she says mina erison, the exact same thing she says now mina erison, that the most should be given to her Baal, her orus, yasa shlish masharushlach biyado. He should go ahead and buy a field and give it to her. Divrei Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Yossi Omer, Hagedola, if the boss is already Gedola, Beimin Asun and Beimin Eris and Rishus B'Yoda, she can say, give him the most to my husband, because it's B'Yoda L'Mochra, she can sell it, as we saw in the Mishnah. But if she's still a Ketana, then whether it's after Nesuin or Beimin Asun, Beimin Eris, and if it's only after Erisin, Yasa Shalish Masha Rishus B'Yoda. Why? Because Ein Masechet Tano Klu, my Beinayu. So what would be the nafkamina between Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Yossi? Ilema, if it's Tana Mina Nesu and Ika Beinayu, the Rabbi Meir Savar Rishus B'Yada, she has the authority to say, give the most over to my Baal. And that which Rabbi Meir formulated, and he said, Harshus B'Yada, his intention was, even for Ketana. The Asa, Rabbi Yossi, L'Meimar, Afilu Min Nesu Nami, Gedola in Ketana Lo. If that be the case, I must say for, it says in the Sefer, B'Med Varmur B'Gedola, Avol B'Ketana Ein Masa Ketana Klum, Oman Ketoni Lo. Who actually taught this? Ilema, if we're going to say Rabbi Yossi, who holds that a Ketana Min Nesuin is Ein Rishus B'Yada. So what's the chiddush in adding this point? Ha me Reisha Shamet Mina. We already heard the words of Rabbi Yossi in the Reisha, that a Ketana Ein Rishus B'Yada Klal. Yom Rabbi Yossi, he said in the Reisha, just to remind ourselves, V'chi Eina Ela Sadeh, V'hi Rotzel L'Mokra, Harei Mechura Me'akshin. It implies that Gedola the Basvini, she can sell it in Then we listen to her. Tano de la bas vinihi. Tana cannot possibly sell anything. Lo, we don't listen to her. Ella says, well, we have to interpret that the Sefer of the Mishnah is a continuation of Rabbi Meir, the Chisuri Metzger. Hochitoni. Here's what it should say. Hamashlish Mos Lebito, Vehi Omeres Nemon Bali Olai, Yase Hashlish Masha Hushlash Biyodo. But Medvar Maburim, we don't listen to her. That's Mina Erisin. Mina Asuin or Rishus Biyodo. But Medvar Maburim, when do we make this distinction between Erisin and Asuin Bigdola? Tana, even Mina Asuin, ain't Maisek Tana Klum. And therefore it comes out that even Rabbi Meir, as his counterpart Rabbi Yossi, agree that a Tana, even Min Nesuin, does not have Rishus B'yodah. Now the Gemara gives a different interpretation of Machlokas. El Gdolmin Erisini Kabenayu. Rabbi Meir holds that even a Gdola, we're not going to listen to her. Ain't Shomim Lo element in Nesuin. Rabbi Yossi so there Shema. Me'achari Gedola Shomim Lo. Itmar Omer Rabbi Yudah Omer Shmuel Halacha Rabbi Yossi that a Gedola ben Eirsin and Rishus B'yodah. But Rav Amar here in the name of Nachman Halacha Rabbi Meir that even a Gedola Arusa ain't Rishus B'yodah. Now Ilfa was a Chacham and he said Tola Nafshe Be'iskaraya Dimachusa. He leans himself or relies on the klimsos of the arazim that are used for windows, shetolim b'emes vilonos, the haspinot. Omar, if there's someone who could come and tell me Milsa to Rav Chia from Ushia, a brisa that was organized by Rav Chia and Rav Oshia, and I won't be able to show him a source from the Tanna Mishnah, the Filna, the Iskaraya, the Tavana. I will throw myself down from the boat and I will drown there in the Yam. Osahu Sabatonale. He taught him this brisa, and he asked him to find a source in the Mishnayos where Rebbe's opinion is codified. And here's what it says in the brisa: "Ha'omer tnu shekel lebanai b'Shabbos." He's about to die, never, and he was mafkid his mammon in the hands of an escrow at Nemon, and now he commands the escrow to give to his son after his death 1 shekel for each week to spend, like an allowance. Since the mizonos went up in price, they cannot be purchased for less than a sela, which is shnei shkolim. No sulam sela. If the father knew that it would go up in price, these mizonos, and it would reach the dmei sela, he wouldn't have said, give her only a shekel. If the father says to the neman, al titnu lahem el a shekel, don't give them more than a shekel for a week. So he was makpid not to give them in any situation whatsoever more than a shekel, 1 shekel, ain't no sem el a shekel. And they'll have to get their mizonos for the balance from tzedakah. If the father says to the nemon, in Mesu, if my children die, Yirshu Achreim Tachteim. If the Banim die, then Acherim, who aren't even related to him, Yirshu Tachteim, whatever's left from the nechasim, is then bein sha'omer tnu, u bein sha'omer titnu, whether he says in the lashon tnu, give my ben a shekel every week, or if he says al titnu emel ella shekel b'Shabbos, ain't no some emel a shekel. So we're not going to be mafsid the others to whom he bequeathed his mammon, and that's because he made the achirim into Yorshim Tafka. So certainly his kavanah was to give them a shekel b'dafka so that the Yerusha would fall to those achirim tachteim. Amalei Sofa says to the Saba, Hamani, who is the Tana that holds that if he says al titnu lahem el shekel, noslam rak shekel echad. And here we turn to Daf Samach, Daf Ayin. Rabbi Meir he biyom mitzvah kind divrei emes. And therefore, our Mishnah says that we have to be careful and fulfill and implement the words of the Av, and not to listen to the words of the Bas. Amar Kizamar Ukva Hilchasa Bein Sharatnu Bein Shamar Al Titnu Dosim Lam Kol Tzarkam. They give him even more than a shekel. So that is not when the father said Tnu shekel l'bonai b'Shabbos, or he said Al Titnu l'bonai Ela shekel b'Shabbos. The Gemara raises the following objection: Al Kaimal and Aloch Rabbi Meir the Yom Mitzvah L'Kayim Divrei Emes. So how can you tell me that we're not going to fulfill the tzivui of the father? The Gemara answers, Hani, when do we fulfill the tzivui of the father? That's the mili achronaisa. That's dor machirim. Aval beha menach nichale. It's not to the father. He wants them to give him more than kidei tzarkam. Veha b'yamar hachi. But if he says al titnu lahem yosem v'shekel b'Shabbos, l'zaruna hu diyasi, he's coming to be mezaris them sheyachzuru acham ezonosei, that they shouldn't be ra'av tanim, as we say. Tanan hasam. We learned in the Mishnah there, hapa'otos, these are tinokos from 8 days old until 9 years old, and they know tiv masu matan at some point, mikhan mekach memkar mekach, but that's only b'mitaltul. Amara from Lo Shanu, when do we say the Pa'utos can sell and they can buy? That's Elo She'ein Shom Apotropos. That the father during his lifetime, and Bezin for them, and did not appoint an Apotropos. An Apotropos would be Metapol in the Chosim. Shemishum Kidei Chayeyam Tiknu Chachamim Sheyiyah Mekhan Mekach Umekach Mekach Umechar Mekach. The apotropos has to worry about all their needs. How do we know this? Our Mishnah says that the action of a Tana is not valid, it's not binding, it's not legal. And we're talking about an Av, Hishlish Mos Biyad Nemon, and the Mishnah is telling us that the Katan can be kona, even the taltul in Shabbat. Eina koton yochel liknos afilu in taltul in Shabbat. Arik sheyesh apitrofes anachosim ein mekol mekach v'ein mem koro mekach. V'dilma heicha de'ika shalish shiny. Maybe with a shlish, it's different than apitropes. A shlish, they were mafki biyodu the mos, and they told him exactly what to do with the most. And therefore he's not allowed to change what he was commanded. It's possible because even the apotropos, when he sells in a chasam with tzorch mizonos hayisomim, he sells them. And the Gemara says that this approved. In Cain, if the din is such only in the case of a shalish, listen, it should have said in the Mishnah, Aval Viktana Yase Shalish Mashushash Biyodo, and Maya Ein Masek Tana Klum Shma Minafiu Bialma. When there's an apotropos, he's like a shalish. Ein Apuutos Yecholim Liknos Vilimkar. This brings us to the beginning of Perek Madir, Perek Shvi. Thank you so much.